but somebody just left a comment on one of my videos that they're gonna ban gas cars in 9 states. Gas powered cars. So I think this is actually in response to the live stream that we just completed, and some talks about seeing videos of people saying that these 15-minute cities are gonna lock us down and trap us behind these walls, and they want to do away with vehicles and crazy stuff. I haven't seen this or heard this, but I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that I haven't seen it. And but what I have seen is plenty of the recent announcements about banning the sale of gasoline vehicles, new gas vehicles, by I think it's 2035 is when they want to ban the sale of new gas powered vehicles, which I've heard that. And this is a push to drive these EVs or EV sales. You know, Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, Ford, BMW, Toyota, Kia, Hyundai. They're all pumping out EVs as fast as possible, while you have other manufacturers who are producing hybrid. Porsche is actually, McLaren and Porsche were actually some of the early pioneers with this hybrid supercar technology. But the new ones that I'm hearing about of a ban, a vehicle ban, a car ban tied to these lockdowns in 15-minute cities, I think may actually be misunderstood. Maybe. But I could be wrong. With even a few more comments coming through, I can't argue. Newer vehicles can be controlled remotely, even locking you inside of your car. Car-free is a prison as soon as an evacuation becomes necessary. Therefore, if you don't have a car, you can't escape. But I don't think that the push is to get rid of cars. I think the push is to get rid of the reliance of needing to travel great distances, because there's so much more made available to you in a smaller radius, basically. But to each their own. Everyone is more than capable of choosing what information they choose to accept as truth or fact. And apparently, based on one of the comments, we drank the Kool-Aid. I guess we're now part of the super woke bunch, I think. I'm not sure if woke means good or bad anymore. I really don't know. But because we approach things logically and with rational thought, and maybe it's because we don't have our tinfoil hats on, that's why we are essentially falling for their plan to trap us, lock us down as they control us and we continue to be slaves. But then it makes me wonder, how much do these people get paid to troll YouTube and leave these ridiculous comments? Or even better yet, how much do the creators or the owners of the channels, but I didn't have to say that they are relatively creative to come up with some of these things, how much do they get paid to spread lies and pump fear? Makes you wonder. And America is barreling toward a summer of strikes. This, according to Bloomberg, circa late July 2023, And more than 650,000 American workers are threatening to go on strike this summer or have already done so in an avalanche of union activity not seen in the U.S. in decades. Miami condo owners say they're being forced out of their homes. And according to CBS News Miami on Friday, residents of Biscayne 21 condos received a notice informing them that the building services would be terminated. The development insisted that the remaining occupants vacate the premises by the upcoming Friday, but they adamantly refused to leave without putting up a fight. Two Roads Development recently acquired the high-rise property, and in mid-May, the residents initiated a lawsuit against the company, alleging that the unit owners had engaged in manipulation, intimidation, deception, and coercion to force them to sell their units to the developer. Residents extended an invitation to CBS Miami for an interview within the property. However, within minutes of the news crew's arrival, law enforcement officers intervened, and Lawrence Pecan, the property's attorney, expressed his reluctance to allow media access. Nicholas Bayo, a unit owner, was busy packing his belongings in preparation for his impending move. He lamented the imminent loss of his view of the bay, saying, "I can only hurry and salvage what I can." Jacqueline Fraga, another condo owner, vehemently declared, "My property is not for sale." She shared the sentimental value of the unit, where she moved in wearing her wedding dress, raised her children, and hoped to retire someday. Frana Marino described the building as a prime piece of real estate in South Florida. She expressed the deep emotional attachment residents felt toward their homes and the anguish caused by the situation, saying, "It's just heart-wrenching because if you can take that, they can take anything." The initial notification to residents, dating as far back as March of this year, informed them of the necessity to vacate. It read, "As you know, the building is in need of significant deferred maintenance, which precedes TRD Biscayne LLC's completed acquisition of the property in December of 2022. About 184 units at the property have been successfully vacated, with the exception of 6 remaining units remaining as unlawful inhabitants of the property." Jeffrey Kaminsky, a real estate attorney specializing in condominium law, explained the implications of Florida law in this situation. The law allows condo boards to be dissolved and buildings to be sold with just an 80% approval rate from those with voting interests. Residents are required to vacate the premises by 5 p.m. on the impending Friday, which I think is this coming Friday. I'm also reading how Kevin McCarthy faces battle with hard-right Republicans as shutdown looms. With only 12 days left before the end of the fiscal year, the Republican-controlled House must quickly pass some kind of spending package to keep the federal government open after the 30th of September. Past shutdowns caused by lapses in government funding left 800,000 federal workers to fend for themselves and without a paycheck. And loan programs overseen by the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and federally funded research projects were also halted or delayed. Government shutdowns are very disruptive. And the Federal Reserve has projected that by October, Americans will exhaust their savings. This doesn't necessarily indicate an immediate collapse of the U.S. economy, but it does imply that everyday life will become more challenging for ordinary Americans. Before delving into the details and statistics, I'd like to provide an overview of the current situation. Presently, many average Americans are struggling to keep up with their expenses. And if you feel like you're constantly living paycheck to paycheck or trapped in a never-ending cycle, it's essential to understand the reasons behind this predicament. So let's take a closer look at some of the key factors. The cost of housing has been rapidly rising, with rent increasing by an average of 18% since 2020. And in some areas, rent hikes have been even more substantial. Additionally, home prices are at historic highs, and the average 30-year fixed mortgage interest rate is around 7.5%. This has led to record lows in home affordability. Used vehicle prices have surged by 44% since 2020, making transportation costs a significant burden. Gasoline prices have also risen by 39% since 2020, with fluctuations continuing into September. Cereal and grain prices, including basic grocery items like bread, have increased by 29% since 2020. This surge in essential expenses is straining household budgets. Wages, on the other hand, have not kept pace with the rising costs. While expenses have grown by 20 to 40% since 2020, wages have not seen a comparable increase. And to bridge the gap, many Americans are resorting to credit card debt or depleting their savings, which is unsustainable and stressful. Inflation has spiraled out of control due in part to extensive money printing by the Federal Reserve. Corporations have also passed on increased costs to consumers, further exacerbating the problem. However, Americans are now more price conscious and actively seeking alternatives when prices are too high. The Federal Reserve, which was consistently claimed or has consistently claimed that Americans have ample pandemic-related savings, is now warning that these savings are rapidly depleting. Excess household savings have fallen from $2.1 trillion in 2021 to $190 billion in July of this year and are decreasing at a rate of about $100 billion per month. The government's data reflects a similar trend, with personal savings rates plummeting from 8.8% in 2019 to just 3.5% in July. Adding to these challenges, student loan payments are set to resume in October, affecting 43 million Americans, with average payments ranging from $300 to $400 a month. The consumer-driven U.S. economy depends heavily on the financial well-being of its citizens. If Americans continue to face financial strain, more businesses, including both large corporations and small enterprises, may face bankruptcy. The environment is particularly challenging for small businesses due to difficulties accessing affordable capital. While some institutions and experts suggest that the economy is booming with robust GDP growth, a substantial portion of Americans, 71% supposedly, still perceives the economy as either poor or not good. And as we move forward, important dates to watch include September 13th for the inflation report and September 20th when the Federal Reserve will make decisions regarding interest rates. I will continue to provide updates and financial education to help you navigate these challenges. Thank you for your support. Check the description for links and my contact info. I'll see you guys soon.